everyone.
Hi.
Happy Tuesday.
Yes.
Welcome to the Leasing Highway. This is a podcast focused on the apartment industry and the voices and the people behind the apartment industry. I'm Karen Gladney, one of your hosts. Ian Andrew, my co-host, is with me. And today we are welcoming Sue Vickery. I was just saying off screen to Sue that she's just had such a storied and legendary career in our industry. And I just can't wait to hear from you today, Sue. So
we'll talk to you guys.
Yeah, this is great. So we'll kick it off and let you share a little introduction and background about yourself for anybody who doesn't know, and even for those who do, just that color reminder.
Sure. Well, I started out right out of college as a leasing agent. And so I have been in this industry my entire career. And I rapidly kind of went through the ranks over about 5 years from that up to property manager. And then this was all kind of on the East Coast. I've been in North Carolina, Florida, Maryland. And my kind of big break was I was working for Embry up in Maryland, and they were getting out of that market and coming to Texas. And Walter asked me if I would come lease up a property in Austin, Texas. And I'm like, yeehaw, sure, why not? I'll come on down there. And I was married at the time. My husband had been in the military, so making a move every 2 years, he didn't care. He's like, sure, why not? Let's go to Texas. And then after about a year, Sean Breslin, who was with CWS Apartment Homes at the time and now runs asset management for Avalon Bay, shopped me, hired me. I spent 7 years with him. Wow. To doing a rehab for 600 units and as a regional manager, and then eventually running the acquisition fund for them. That they sold their manufactured housing portfolio. It was about $25 million that we leveraged up. And so I spent 5 years doing that. I consider that my big break, which I'm going to talk to you about later in another question. But then when that money ran out, there was nowhere really to go. And so I started looking, and TCR was in military housing, or just starting to get into military housing at Fort Hood, 5,600 housing units, and needed somebody to reinvent the housing office and maintenance operation there. And so that's what I got hired to do. But it only lasted 18 months because TCR and the government, we didn't get along all that well. So our partner, which was Lend-Lease, bought us out. And then I did an acquisition fund for TCR with AEW for a couple of years. And then Ken decided that he wanted to experiment and see what it would be like to have an asset management function within TCR. It had never been done in TCR's history, and I was the first. And I'm actually very proud of that.
Wow.
And so, because now, of course, TCR has a very robust asset management platform. And so I started out in Houston, and eventually I had all of Texas, Phoenix, Denver, and this is where I started out, Nevada, of all places, for a hot minute while that was interesting. And so then, 20 years at TCR. And in the last 3 years of that, TCR invented a new role called resident experience. It's a development position within TCR. And up until that point, I had dabbled in development related to kind of taking on the role that property management normally took, which was look at floor plans, look at design, look at, handle branding and all of that. And we decided as a company that we were going to take that out of our third-party management company's hands and take it internally. And so that the resident experience role was born. And so I did development for the past 3 years at TCR. And now I started my own gig.
Wow. I have to tell you, I mean, we've had lots of conversations over the years, and I learned new things in that. Gosh, what a journey. And I think what's so neat is the fact that how many different roles you've had, at the site level specifically.
Yes.
That matters.
Karen, I think that's one of the things that has really helped me in my job is knowing when I get feedback or when I, for lack of a better term, like hear an excuse,
right,
or something that, I've been on site. I was on site, not to date myself, when we had carbon copy ledgers and we actually processed the bills ourselves, and, all the reporting and everything. Now, nobody does any of that. Everything's automated. So it's like, don't tell me you're busy. You're not that busy. I've been busy. And not only that, I mean, I was able to goof off a lot when I was in leasing and management because it's,
well, knowing
that's helped me is I really do understand what everybody's doing. I understand what the process is and all the challenges. So
I remember managers saying, you better go shadow our service team so that you know what it takes to change a lock and what it takes to reset the disposal or, all the different variables there. So I got to ask, 20 years that's a long time. That's a
very long time.
Family. I mean,
that's unheard of, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So how brave, first of all, to make the leap. What emotions and thoughts did you have as you thought through doing that, making that change and leap?
Yeah, I thought I'd die there, and I think COVID, and this is probably true for a lot of people. It just was clarifying, and before it hit, I mean, I was traveling 3 days a week, every single week. And when I was home, all I was doing was putting out fires because when you travel, as you guys know, you can't keep up with your emails and everything else that's going on. You have to focus on the place where you are. And so it just got to be kind of exhausting. And when that hit, I was like, isn't this interesting that our industry can function without going to the office? And that is something that nobody would have thought. Everybody kind of had a view that things would really shut down, like productivity would suffer, but quite the opposite. And the way that our industry was able to like jump in and kind of zoomed everything to death, is a testament to you do what you got to do. And so as a result, it kind of like in the fall, TCR was looking for some operational efficiencies, and that kind of started the conversation. It was really very sudden. I mean, I've been talking about for a couple of years, kind of dialing back, just because I wanted more flexibility and I wanted, more time to myself. And so it worked out great because TCR is still my primary client. So I still do the exact same job for them in the Arizona, Colorado, and Dallas and Austin markets. And so I really haven't even pursued new clients or even been open to them. I'm open to them now. Very recently, I've started kind of putting my vibe out there. But yeah, so it's worked out fantastic. I'm super, super happy so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how you've really been on the front lines and involved in the process of the whole way, and now you're at a point where you can, you've worn all the hats and you really can focus on the pieces that you truly love and that you can still provide so much value with. And on that note, one of the questions that we had with being so hands-on with so many different properties over the years, and curious of what is that the biggest OMG jaw-dropping moment that you've had with walking into a property?
Are you kidding me?
One of those stories?
Well, it's funny because I am really racking my brain. Maybe I just don't hold on to negative experiences. Maybe I have a repressed memory about it. But the only thing that I can think of that's negative is when I was working for CWS and we were doing the acquisitions, and we were in Southern California. And let me tell you something. Those little apartments that are like 50 units or less, they are run by women in curlers and slippers. And I'm not even joking. That is real. And so that was a real shock. But what I wanted to say that was positive, that was my biggest OMG and kind of a validator. It was a deal in Seattle, and it was a multi-use kind of area. And you walk in, and the leasing people are just in this giant lobby, sitting with their laptops at a gathering table. And up until that moment, everybody and God told me that a property could not be run with the leasing people sitting out at something other than a desk. And so you better believe I sat down in front of them. And I'm like, so how's this going for you? I love it. Yeah. And I mean, they literally did not have even a manager's office. And they opened up this door, and behind it was just all their crap, like all their storage and files. And they're like, we don't love this.
Right.
But otherwise it's working great. And so that was my biggest OMG was, aha, I knew it. I knew somebody would do it before I could convince somebody to do it. So yeah.
Absolutely. You've always been so connected to what's going on, and both at that corporate office and on site with boots on the ground. And on that note, curious of what are those most commonly missed items that you see on both sides throughout your experience?
So for the properties, I would say the most commonly missed item is the move-in path. The move-in experience. People put the the move-in elevator next to the trash room, or they put the loading zone next to the dumpsters, or they make people walk. Like I won't name names, but I just reviewed a property where the architect had the tour path go through the pool outside and down a hallway to get to an elevator that was maybe near a dozen apartments. Yeah. And I'm like, well, this is a do-over. This is an absolute non-starter. I guess we're moving an elevator in a couple apartments. So you would think that would be the first thing that people look at, but no. And then as far as the corporate office goes, I would say the biggest miss is mistaking developer preferences for resident preferences. Mm-hmm. And developers really love to out-design each other by putting in hardwood floors and 3-centimeter granite and all of these whistles and bells that the residents don't even notice, but that cost a lot of money. Another example might be like standalone showers. We should put standalone showers in all of our 1 bedrooms. Well, we just happen to have a very extensive focus group program and resident feedback program where 80% of residents still prefer in a 1-bedroom apartment to have the tub shower combo. They don't want a standalone shower. The 20% maybe want a stand. So it's things like that. That's the biggest, I think, boo-boo is, you need to step back and really understand your customer when you make these decisions. And
I think we do that a lot in our industry. We make generalizations and based off of our own assumptions. Well, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back and catch Sue on the flip side.
Great.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful 1-bedroom den.
Welcome to the Get Focused podcast, a show with stimulating conversation about optimizing our human potential for those who think outside of the box. You'll hear thought-provoking conversation designed to help you blow past your obstacles and create strength and motivation in everything you do. Now, it's time to start thinking outside of the box. It's time to get focused.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Piggybacking on that last question a little bit, Sue, what do you see as some of our industry's biggest opportunities out there?
So, as I mentioned earlier, COVID taught us that people are really comfortable leasing apartments online. and there were all kinds of already great products out there that just jumped on that, from chat to appointment pop-ups on your websites and all that. I think the biggest opportunity, and I'm kind of a broken record on this, is technology. So I think the YouTube is where people really need to get it together. We did an audit on our channels, and we were TCR and there was no program really in place across the entire portfolio. I'm sure other people do it a lot better, but even simple things like you have to title your video something that's relevant to what the video is, not just so that people can find you, but so that when they're on your channel, they don't have to start the video to find what they're looking for. So it's a very simple thing. So I feel like YouTube is a big deal. Yep. Videos in general. Mm-hmm. I suspect that virtual reality is coming very soon. Up until this point, the headsets are they're just awful, and you can't mail. It's not like you can mail them around. And I've even seen cardboard ones. No, but I think that's an inevitability. Is taking that type of tour. There's already 360 tours. Why not figure out a way to put people in that space? And I also think that there's an opportunity to rethink fitness centers and outdoor spaces for a virtual presence as well. Like, for example, having subscription-based exercise rooms that maybe are just tiny little closet spaces, so you don't have to do that in your apartment. You can get a nice mirror, you can get a nice big TV to mirror your phone to, that type of thing. So I see a lot of evolution coming in fitness and outdoor spaces.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are some of the things? I mean, I guess over time you've had the opportunity to work with a ton of different management companies and be on the hiring side from that standpoint. And curious from all your experience doing that, what are some of those things that you look for when hiring a third party management company to look after one of your assets?
This is probably going to be the most boring answer you're going to get. The regional manager.
Yeah.
The regional manager is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what company it is. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Where the company matters is on flexibility. Are they willing to try new things? Are they so rigid in their programming and their expense management that they're not really open or don't have the resources to train people to try new things? So once you have the right regional manager, and I am very happy to say that all the regional managers that I have ever selected to work with are now way up there in the chain. They're asset managers, they're VPs, so that's the real issue, is once you find that good person, they're not around long because they just fly up the ladder. But then flexibility is the other one. And just, having a sense of adventure and just wanting to be the first one out of the gate, I think is a really unique and valuable quality for management companies right now.
Well, I think that's a quality you have too, Sue. You've been first out of the gate, and not in the sense of, shiny object. I mean, you really vet the vendors that you bring on, and you seek out, and just like you said, you sat down at that table with the leasing agents to ask for their feedback. So when you're vetting out to be first in, so to speak, or the first adopter of some of these technologies or services, what are you looking for from the vendor side?
So, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I think has contributed to my success, is that I do my own due diligence. Mm-hmm. I don't really take anybody's word for it, because management companies establish relationships for a variety of reasons that may or may not include best in class, or certainly most operationally risky, for lack of a better term. So I really look for people who have a handle on the industry itself. I have a lot of people come to me and they want me to shake out their business plan. And I'm like, I can tell you what not to do, but I'm not going to write your business plan. Like, I don't have time for that, unfortunately, but I'll shoot holes through whatever you're going to tell me. And I think that's one of the reasons, so I'll give you guys a plug. That's one of the reasons why you were one of the first relationships I ever formed, is because you guys really know the industry and you're adapting and you are addressing things that need to be addressed, and it's done elegantly. And so that's what I look for. I like a very simple user interface and easy adaptability by the staffs, because if it doesn't make the staff happy, it's not going to last 2 seconds.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the things that has bound us to you too, is just the fact that Ian and I both come from the leasing floor. So we appreciate that and respect that from anyone we meet in the industry, when you've walked 1,000 miles in the steps of the people that you're either building a product for, or that you're asking to run your community. So with that, we'll be back, and I feel like our time is flying by. We'll take another break and we'll be right back.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button, and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Welcome back. So when we left, we were talking about just that experience of being on the floor and just people in the industry overall. So I feel like all of us have two personas. We've got the persona that we present to, in your case, management companies, and how they might then perceive and think of you and describe you. And then that of our family, friends and family, and how they think of us and describe us. We'd love to hear how do you think management companies might, and vendors, describe you, that work persona, and how your families describe you?
I loved this question. So, I would say how they would describe me when they first meet me is different than how they would describe me after they work with me. I think that I have a reputation that I'm a little scary and intimidating. But what what I'm about to say, I know for sure because this is what I've been told. And it is that I'm very direct. Mm-hmm. And because I equate directness with efficiency. And so sometimes I don't take as much time to soften people's emotions before I speak because I'm just trying to cut to the chase. This is business. Okay. And so what happens is people come to appreciate that because there's no guessing what the goal is. There's no guessing what I'm wanting from anyone's performance or what result I'm looking for. So I would say at first they are a little scared maybe or intimidated, but then they recognize that good performance is highly rewarded. I'm very collaborative with people, and I'm just a big believer in teamwork. So, and as far as my family goes, I would say they think I'm inexplicable. Because I'm from a very conservative Christian background. There are no career women in my immediate family and a lot of my extended family. And so I think they would say that I'm unconventional and free-spirited and a little bit of a hippie, probably.
So really on that note, you've had such a successful career thus far, and curious on what advice would you give people, especially women that are entering the industry? You've had such a amazing career that it's really been dominated by males at where you're at, and
yes,
curious on what do you attribute that to, and what advice would you give there?
So I read a book once. It's called Hardball for Women. And in it said that the main reason that women don't get promoted and men do is because women feel like they have to know the job before they take a promotion. And men don't. They just wing it. So guess what? I wing it. I have said yes to every opportunity, whether I've actually performed it prior or not. And the worst thing that can happen is you get Peter principled, and I never did, knock on wood, but just say yes to opportunity. The other advice I would give is, and I wrote this down, I'm very proud of it. Performance does not equal advancement. Mm-hmm. Just because you do a good job, that doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. You have to have performance with initiative and assertiveness. You have to make it known that you want to be promoted. You have to make it known what you want to do and do it on a regular basis. You have to ask, what do I need to do? What's missing right now? What do I need to do to get to this next level? And just get in people's faces. Works every time. Don't sit there. You're not entitled to anything. And the person who goes and asks for it is probably who's going to get it.
I think that is phenomenal advice. Phenomenal advice. And I wish I had heard that when I was in my early 20s, and to be reminded of it. I think we all, no matter where we are in our professional journey. Did you have anyone, Sue, that was a mentor or that you looked up to through your career?
I've had two, and I know we're getting short on time, but I have two. Yeah. One is John Breslin, because when that manufactured housing division came up for sale, he came to me and he said, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in property management and run operations, or do you want to get into acquisitions? And I'm like, oh, I would like to get into acquisitions. And what he did was give me an environment where I could teach myself. And he was always there to back me up. If I had questions, he would answer me. But I taught myself how to source loans, how to hire brokers, how to evaluate and underwrite acquisitions. And I got to choose the buyers and negotiate the purchase agreements. So that was the game changer. I would say that is the game changer of my career, is that opportunity that he gave me and just kind of throwing me into the fire. I mean, I didn't even know what a cap rate was when he gave me that job. And obviously I know. The other is Ken Valek, CEO at TCR, and I was fortunate enough to be hired by him, and I reported directly to him for 15 years. And so we have a very close relationship. And the best thing about Ken is he is willing to have difficult situations with you in order to get the best performance out of you. And a lot of times supervisors and leaders, they don't want to hurt your feelings. And I used to tell Ken all the time, hurt my feelings. It's the only way that I'm going to learn. It's the only way I'm going to fix it. And I can't read between the lines. Just please tell me what it is, and I will ensure that I will correct it going forward. And so he's probably the reason why I was with TCR for 20 years, because, he gave me the feedback I needed to keep being successful.
Well, and what's nice is you're reciprocating that now, right? Just like you said, while that might intimidate some people, that's really you giving that gift to everybody else that that is in your path,
Yeah, exactly. One time I was on a call with him, and I was so stressed out. I don't even remember why now, but I was like, Ken, I am literally sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth. I am so stressed out right now. He just took that kind of thing in stride. He's just the best guy. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to need you to get up in your chair and let's talk about how we can get you some help. And I'm like, okay.
Amazing. Well, I know we're about up on time here, but thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing insight. I know you're a role model to so many people out there, and an amazing one at that, including myself. And so thank you so much for being on today. And we really appreciate it.
I love talking to you guys.
Oh, this is great.
Thank you. Working with you.
Thanks. Well, next week too, definitely make sure to tune in. We have Topher Olson joining us, who's Vice President of Learning for Roscoe Properties. So that will be super exciting, and can't wait to hear his insight as well. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sue, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks,
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.